Hello, everybody. My name is Addison, and
My name is Arlie.
today here we are going to be talking about our sustainability narrative analysis on the Hawthorne Bridge bike lane.
Perfect. Our location is the Hawthorne Bridge, which is located in Portland. The Hawthorne Bridge works as an example of the level of progressiveness that we should reach to achieve by prioritizing our accessibility. The bridge works to mitigate ableism and classism as well.
Our narrative analysis our narrative for analysis was originally submitted by Arlie, and with her quote, "While visiting Portland, I came across a bridge that had its own road for bicycles. I think this demonstrates that the county cares for the safety of the community and has built roads with accessibility in mind. This makes traveling easier and safer for those who use non-motorized transport like biking or walking." After our narrative analysis, we came to the conclusion that safety and accessibility is a very central idea for this bridge because the bridge prioritizes safety and accessibility for pedestrians and cyclists, and it also supports non-motorized and alternative transport. It also supports sustainable infrastructure, because the bridge serves as an example of sustainable infrastructure promoting eco-friendly urban transportation. Combining imagery with this narrative enhances understanding of the bridge's role in sustainable transport.
The narratives of oppression that we are combating with this narrative begins with systemic, which means that the infrastructure is based on auto industry, which limits the different ways of transport that are created. Ideological, where cars are seen as normal and non-driving is seen as lesser. Institutional, where policies prioritize cars during city planning. And interpersonal, where drivers may harass non-drivers, for example, bikers. Internalized, where the non-driver being people believe that it is shameful or inferior or unsafe to not drive.
Connecting this to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, we can see that the narrative that this bridge, communicates aligns with the Sustainable Development Goal number 3, which the UN says, quote, "to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages," along with goal number 9, which is to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation, along with number 11, which is to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable, and number 13, which is to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts.
The oppression and equity considerations. Firstly, we are addressing the transportation barriers. The narrative targets systemic barriers, which promotes accessible and affordable travel options for all community members. This counters ableism and classism, as not everybody owns or can drive a vehicle. So it includes the marginalized groups by incorporating both groups and creating a more united community. Which brings us to the third point, which is promoting equity and inclusivity, as the bike lanes support equity, inclusivity, and it aligns with the 4 I's and S, which were mentioned before.
Audience and intent of this narrative and the bridge itself. The primary audiences are local residents, which in our initial analysis, we mostly only spoke about them. But after further, discussion and thought, we realized that urban planners and environmental advocates are also just as important to the audience of this narrative, because they are the type of people who are still trying to, look out for these things and aspire for these changes. So it's just about expanding the minds and perspective of essentially anybody who comes across the bridge, and it drives sustainable transport initiatives. The narrative's intent itself seems to raise awareness and motivate action towards sustainable and eco-friendly transportation solutions, along with sending a message about accommodation and accessibility. Social change roles that the narrative expresses are roles like builders and visionaries from the social change ecosystem, and they inspire collaboration and innovative solutions. Along with inner development goals such as empathy and collaboration, those are emphasized as core inner development goals to support sustainable change.
Next, we're talking about the power dynamics. We believe that the power approach is power with, which looks to improve cooperation between the community members, meaning that the space is being shared. This creates a sustainable focus, which balances the transport modes, where there's a space for people to drive and equal amount of space for people to walk / bike / skate in. And this contrasts that hierarchical systems where motorized transport is very exclusive and prioritized.
Impacts and reflection. Impacts. So the impacts of this narrative are, from what we gathered, all environmental, social, and economic. The environmental benefits that this narrative and bridge itself could be, sending out is that this narrative supports climate goals by reducing emissions and promoting sustainable transportation, along with social improvements because it encourages healthier, more flexible and resilient, and generally expansive communities through better infrastructure, along with economic changes because lower transportation costs can benefit individuals and contribute to broader economic savings, which connects to resource use.
Our personal reflection involved considering how we can improve our narrative. We were thinking that we could improve the narrative by including arrows where it creates a more organized way where drivers or people walking have their own specific lane as well, so that there's no like crashing or uncomfortableness and
So something
in the
to
area.
clear up the something to be more distinct.
Yes, and I think this would create a more accessible narrative as well, which improves the inclusivity that is being created.
Yeah. For me, I live in California and I live in the Coachella Valley, so it's a desert. So everything is pretty, it's either hilly or flat. I really can't describe it, but we have a lot of bike lanes. But unfortunately, over the years, I have noticed that they are very inconsistent across the different cities. And there's a main freeway kind of separating the two sides of the valley. So it's unfortunately like, you kind of need to know how to drive, but you can also bike. And I'm actually really happy that we've, become more bike friendly around the area. So seeing this type of narratives in somewhere else that I don't live, like Oregon, actually, gives me hope that maybe this type of infrastructure will be seen in other places.